Hello everyone. Due to some connectivity issue, we lost Daisy in between the conversations. So we'll quickly add her again.
Hi.
Hi again, Daisy. So I'm so sorry. There was some internet issue, some connectivity issue, and we could not save the entire conversation. So we'll have to restart.
Okay.
Yeah. So Daisy, first of all, congratulations for your book, your translated book to be a part of the long list, Booker long list. That's a great achievement. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So my first question is that I'm sure you must be very happy, very excited that the book is a part of the long list. And I mean, now people know about the book. But I want to know, what was your first reaction when you got the news?
Well, I was just so excited that people would start reading it. Because it's big and people get intimidated by big books, and people are also intimidated by translated books. And so it had been out since August in the UK, and it just came out in India, but I don't think very many people were reading it because they, it's a new author to them. And so I was excited to be on the long list because now people would finally read our book.
Yes, so generally whenever the long list is announced, people start reading those books.
Yes.
So yes, definitely it is going to be all over, and people are definitely going to pick it up. So my other question is that, I've often heard people say that the essence of the story gets lost in translation, which for us, one of the Indian translators, Arun Sinha, has very rightly clarified that the story, the essence is not lost in the translation. Rather, people come to it makes the book accessible to people in their own language. So rather, I would ask you that what was it that you found in the book while translating it?
Okay, so we already did a conversation, but I'll go on my rant again. So my pet peeve is that phrase "lost in translation." It's a cliche and it gets trotted out all the time, and translators have to hear it again and again. So we are always annoyed when we hear it. And part of the reason is because the act of translation is an act of finding. If you're not reading the book in Hindi, you can't read the book in Hindi, or you choose not to read it in Hindi, then this English version is what's found in translation. The entire book is found in translation, and it helps you find. And even if you, for example, know Hindi, but you feel like you're kind of weak in reading Hindi because you went through English medium school or something, you can find the Hindi by reading the English. You could go back to the Hindi. So translation is all about finding, not about losing. And so then you have this added layer of what the translator has to do to recreate the text. And they offer a lot of commentary in a way, even though it's embedded in what they've written. They give you sometimes more than what was in the original because they're working so hard to make sure that you understand it. So this idea of lost in translation is, it has to go. It's all about what's found in translation. New hashtag.
I totally agree with you. Okay, so Daisy, from a translator's point of view, while you are in the process of translating, so what kind of contribution do you expect from an author?
Well, I have mostly translated authors that are no longer living or that are very old. And so I usually don't expect anything from the author. So this was a very new experience for me. And Geetanjali's English is perfect. So she read every word that I wrote and interacted with me constantly over email. And so it was a completely different experience. And it was, we became very close, even though we've never met or Zoomed or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. So since you're saying that, you have translated works where the authors are no more living. So most of your works, right? So
yeah,
how do you then are able to completely, bring out that essence in the book? I mean, if you have some difficulty in understanding certain parts, how would you go about it?
Oh, it's a lot of work. I mean, but I have an academic background. I have a PhD in South Asian studies, and so it's research basically. And I have, many friends and colleagues all around the world that I call upon, and I often need very, very, very specific information that is not easy to find, because I'm often translating books set in the 30s and 40s in India, or earlier. And so there's a lot of things that don't exist anymore. So it's not even just a thing where I could call up my friend who knows Hindi or something like that. It's not a native speaker issue. It's like historical research. And I also use Twitter a lot. Because Twitter is like when I can't find it. And so when I give up, I throw it on Twitter. And I have these amazing friends on Twitter, and they will find me anything. And they've also, like I find people who have elderly grandparents in their house that they can ask about some children's game that doesn't exist anymore, or, a kind of shoe or something like that. So that's how I usually do it. With Geetanjali, obviously, I just asked her. So that was
That's really interesting.
It's a contemporary
on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Putting it on Twitter and getting to know about it from there. That's really interesting. So that's a good use of social media platforms, I think.
I know, that's why people always say how Twitter is a cesspool and it's a horrible thing and everything. And there are ways in which that is true. But an amazing research tool if you use it the right way. And a lot of people don't, I think, because there's, in some ways people are embarrassed to say they don't know something. It's embarrassing. But I don't have any shame. I just go on there and hash it out, and we argue a lot. And I just have so many wonderful people that help me. I'm so grateful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you said that you haven't met Kitanjali. You haven't even done a Zoom call with her. You were only interacting with her over the emails. So how difficult it was or easy it was while you were translating the book? There were some moments when you thought that, okay, what is it that is happening? Some such incidents.
It was very, some of it was very, very hard. And, she has kind of a stream of consciousness style. And she, is a kind of inspired and, writes things that she can't necessarily explain to me. And I even felt kind of guilty asking, what do you mean here? But she also has a very unique use of language, that kind of idiosyncratic and very, very much her own. So I couldn't even ask anybody else. Like every now and then I'd ask a particular friend of mine who's a translator, who's translates usually between Hindi and Urdu, but I always ask him for difficult questions, and I would send him a passage. He would say, I have no idea. No idea. I can't help you here. I don't know what she means. So I had to ask her, and she didn't always have an explanation. So we'd have to go back and forth and back and forth. And she'd write something similarly difficult. So some passages we went on. Sometimes it was perfectly fine, but and then over my translation word for word, and we hashed over many, many sections of it. So yeah, it was pretty rough. But it was helpful. Just helpful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Considering that the characters are originally the brainchild of the author, so how do you connect with those characters?
Well, they become mine too. I think I said before that I'm kind of like the adoptive parent. Like she gave birth to them, but in English the word translate means to carry across. So I carried them across into English, so they're mine too. I helped raise them, and I feel a strong bond with them. And these particular characters, all the main characters, have family relationship names, which I've kept in English. So there's Ma and Beti and Bahu and Bade. And so they're all a family, them and me together.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, which character from the book stood out for you, and why?
Well, I think we broke off at this point in the last conversation, and I was saying how my daughter always asks me these questions, like when we watch us together, we watch K-dramas, and she says, which one is your favorite character? And if I answer the main character, she says, no.
No, yes.
I mean, like, she means like an interesting side character. So, but I always want to pick the main character. So I love Ma, the main character. And obviously she's a very interesting, deep, complicated character. And one of the reasons why I love her is because her personality, aspects of her personality are very influenced by the late Hindi author Krishna Sobati, her personality. So I could feel Krishnaji's spirit coming into this character.
Oh, wow.
And I had met her a few times before she died, so I could kind of channel that into how I wrote her dialogue in English and how I described her. I could just feel it. And Geetanjali is very, hugely influenced by Krishna Sobati, and she dedicated the book to her as well. Yeah. But I'm also influenced by Krishna Sobati. And my husband, when he first opened the English book, he said, oh, you dedicated it to Krishna Sobati. And I said, no, that was Geetanjali, but I feel the same way. Like, I co-sign that. And so Krishna Sobati actually shows up in the book, literally, and towards in the second or third, I guess in the third section, beginning of the third section. So she's all over the book, and her influence is felt. So that's why I love the character of Ma. But then, of course, I also love the Hijra character, Rosie. Just such an amazing character, so richly written. I just love Rosie. What's not to love about her, right? So
wonderful. That's interesting to know. And I think this conversation has quite a few firsts here. So this is the first time we are hosting somebody whose book has been longlisted for the Booker at Kitabeclub. This is the first time a Hindi to English language book.
I lost a sentence there.
Okay, so this is the first time a Hindi to English language translation has been longlisted for Booker. So I think that's also a first. And I also came to know during the conversation that this is almost the first time that you have translated a book of a live person. Otherwise, you've always been translating books of people who are no more there, right?
Or very old.
Or very old, yeah.
So a living, kicking, breathing person, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Daisy. It was lovely talking to you. And I am thoroughly enjoying the book. I'm currently reading it. I'm halfway through. And the book is growing on me. So initially when I was reading, I was a little clueless. Okay, what is happening? What is happening? But I was very curious because I wanted to read the book. And now I am totally into the book. I'm loving it. So thank you so much for being here with us.
No problem. Thank you for reading and thank you for having me on. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.